He's the host of NFL Game Day Morning, the Rich Eisen podcast on the NFL Network. He's with us all year long, and we say thank you to him. He's Rich Eisen. I heard you were sitting in my chair.
Yeah, feet up.
While I was upstairs shooting hoops with Nick Foles.
Yeah, I heard some rumblings upstairs.
Yeah.
Some pounding of the rock.
Yes, as we like to say.
On the ceiling here in your manscaper?
Scraper.
Okay, manscraper.
Like a skyscraper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just figured I'd make myself at home in your chair. It's very comfortable. I like it.
How intimidating is Seinfeld?
It is extremely intimidating. Although it's all within your own temples. He doesn't do anything to make you uncomfortable, I don't think. Did he do? He's a curious sports fan. So when he enters this world, he wants to, kick the tires a little bit and pick your brain, which is what he did on my podcast earlier this week, and that was very disconcerting.
Well, he doesn't wait for an answer. He just started asking questions.
Right.
Why is this?
Well,
what's that?
When he came in to the NFL Network space in the media center earlier this week, and he was in the green room area, somebody came up to him and said, do you mind if we take a picture? And he looks at this person, and he goes, yeah, I do, but let's do it anyway. And it's just like you don't know if he's truly telling you the truth and obliging you or just having a joke at your expense, because as you saw here, the joke is king to him.
Yeah.
That's
the comedic timing, because he's telling these guys
perfect.
That right. Fritzy would be a TV character because he speaks quickly and loudly.
That. Yeah, that's what he said, louder and quicker.
Yeah.
It was always the mantra.
And then Paulie screwed up the Joe Montana bit because he should have kept the football, and then Joe slams the door and says, no, he won't sign his autograph.
I'll be fine in a couple of years.
I know that. Yeah. It's just that's going to leave a mark, right? And then for Fritzy, that's like the typical Costanza walk-off. Like, you're done.
It's tremendous. I don't know where we go from here. I got to retire.
Yeah. This week, it's different for us, certainly for a show like this, just because the different people you have on. It's just a different feel. But for you guys with the NFL Network, how is this week different than the other weeks?
Well, we're on every single minute of the day. I feel like it's the Truman Show. We're never not in front of a camera right this week. And it's incredible. I mean, there's media availabilities every single day. It's an abnormal week for everybody involved. I mean, Peyton Manning normally has his one time a week where he's made available. This week he's made available 4 times. Marshawn Lynch never wants to be made available. He's forced to be made available 3 times.
Should he be made available?
See, now that's the whole thing, that whole discussion this week. It's media on the media, which I think fans despise. And should he be made available? Yes, he has to, because the bottom line is if he's not compelled to do so, then every single athlete who comes to the Super Bowl from now on will say, I don't want to do it either. And the question is I've thought about this a lot. And again, like I said, I think fans, the one thing they don't want to hear at all is labor disputes. And the second thing is media talking about the media. That said, this day and age, fans are connected directly to the athletes via Twitter. They feel like they hear from the athletes all the time. So now our job becomes a little bit more archaic or outmoded in the fact that we are trying to give fans quotes from players this week, and they've already heard from these guys or whenever they want to. So when somebody like Marshawn Lynch looks so uncomfortable, we come across as the grieving party, and it's a no-win situation in the media this week.
He just doesn't want to talk.
He doesn't.
I know that he should be out there, but I really felt like he was in a cage, and we were sort of prodding him.
Yeah,
the media saying, "Come on, talk. Come on, say something. Come on, you can do it."
And there's no doubt that if he talked earlier this week or at media day, then he wouldn't have 60 or 70 or 80 people around him trying to get something from him. And what are you going to get from him? There's nothing to get from him.
Well,
so
we
the
know he doesn't want to talk.
Why are we doing it?
Yes. For us, it's about the media, because we know he doesn't say anything, but we still want him to say nothing, but do it on our terms, not his.
And then as a teammate that the media thinks talks too much. And so that's the typical media stuff of having it both ways, where we wonder how in the world can the Cowboys win with Tony Romo, and then he's out, and we pivot immediately with a straight face and wonder how in the world can they win without him. I mean, that's sort of what we do in this business.
Rich Eisen, NFL Game Day Morning, the Rich Eisen podcast on the NFL Network. You got Jerry Seinfeld, Russell Wilson, John Elway. You can see it or listen to it on richeisen.nfl.com.
Yeah, and Jim Brockmeyer. Jim Brockmeyer,
the legendary
Jim Brockmeyer. I had him roll around media day this week. The video's up on NFL.com, and as you know, Dan, his story is is difficult to
touching.
tell. It's touching.
Yeah,
it's
very.
difficult to tell. So if I could give him a gig, I reached out and he accepted the gig at Newark this week.
Do you get the feeling people are going to be disappointed on Super Bowl Sunday if the weather is actually pleasant?
You know what? It's interesting that the coldest Super Bowl on record was the one that held was Tulane years ago.
Pittsburgh against the Vikings.
I believe it was like 47 at kickoff. Yeah. There is a slight chance that this will not, after all is said and done, be the coldest Super Bowl ever played. So, it's funny. It's the Marshawn Lynch stuff and the weather, when it all comes down to it on Sunday, might be a non-factor. All the stuff that we've filled our time with this week may mean absolutely nothing by the time.
What if the Super Bowl was back in Atlanta this year?
Forget it.
I mean, that city is shut down.
Yeah, I mean, what Chipper Jones is rescuing Freddie Freeman from from the expressway, right?
Well, Shannon Sharp was 12 hours in his car just sitting on the highway. He couldn't get out of the tangle there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So did he at least have one of his sport coats on to keep him warm?
One of his 9-button sport coats?
Just something, they're very thick. He has he's the only guy that rocks velour in a studio show, I think.
Paulie had velour on.
Did you?
I had a black crushed velour jacket. You saw it last year when we had dinner. I wore it. You gave me the up and down and then turned back to your food.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I remember the look you gave me.
I've been trying to, get that out of my head.
Do you want me on the NFL Network this week? I didn't get an invitation.
But you want to come on the NFL?
Well, I don't know.
I'd love to have you.
I host Football Night in America.
I know, but you're going to Sochi. You're going to Sochi. You're not even going to watch the game.
I get 3 in the morning. I get to watch the Super Bowl.
At
a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay.
Rich Eisen podcast, Jerry Seinfeld, Russell Wilson, John Elway on iTunes or richeisen.nfl.com. Thank you, bud.
You bet. Good to see you.